call the meeting to order.
Mike Hall.
Present.
Wesley Wolfong.
Here.
Stacy Yoakum. Present. Barbara Thomas. Anthony Campbell.
Present.
Mary Riles.
Here.
Trevor Warren.
Here.
5 we have a quorum.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Does anybody want to do a petition?
Wesley Wolfong.
Yes.
Stacy Yoakum.
Yes.
Barbara Thomas. Anthony Campbell.
Yes.
Mary Riles.
Yes.
Trevor Warren.
Yes.
5-0.
What was the spring cleanup date?
May 2nd through the 9th. We normally do it a week or two earlier, but WCA is when they would put their schedule, so, or week, I should say, their schedule. Anybody have any questions on bills? I need a motion. You have 5.
I'll make a motion to rather bills.
I'll second.
Wesley Wolfong.
Yes.
Stacy Yoakum.
Yes.
Barbara Thomas. Anthony Campbell.
Yes.
Mary Riles.
Yes.
Trevor Warren.
Yes.
5-0.
Next up would be minutes for the March 7th meeting. You guys have any changes? Should we see those as a form? You got it in front of you too.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 7th, 2022 council meeting.
I'll second that.
Wesley Wolfong.
I have to abstain on the
Stacy Yoakum.
Yes.
Barbara Thomas. Anthony Campbell.
Yes.
Mary Riles.
Yes.
Trevor Warren.
second.
3 approved, 2 abstained.
Do we have business license on there, but I don't know in front of us. Do we have any new business license or is that?
We do.
I'll leave a copy. The research on it, just, we have Policy Sleep Solutions. Looks like the owner's name is Kaylee Caldwell, Wild Sage Boutique. That's Alyssa Altshuter and Tony Crawford. So they have any questions for us here?
licenses for Wellness and Sleep Solutions and Wallace Age Boutique.
Second it.
Wesley Wolfon,
Yes.
Stacy Oakland,
Yes.
Robert Thomas, Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Mary Wiles,
Yes.
Trevor Warren,
Yes.
5-0.
Next up would be mustard seed update by Mr. Clerk. It's your time to shine.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you want to spot? So, my name is LaShonda Connor. Some of you guys I might be familiar to, some of you all I may not. I wanted to do some updates on some projects that been working with the City of Dixon since I want to say 2018. Most of you guys will probably know that old meat processing plant. Mustard Seed has that. That's one of the projects, community projects we're looking at setting up. So I have some additional, if anybody else wants to see the paperwork that of the kind of the studies that we've gone over, feel free to just come see me and I'll go over that. But briefly, a lot of the stuff is from in 2018. We identified 5 problems worth solving, community problems in Dixon. And that was poverty, food insecurity, economic stagnation or lack of employment, opioid epidemic and foster care crisis, and non-development of community enrichment. A lot of the projects that we narrowed it down to was a small business incubator or commercial kitchen, eventually hopefully a community center, residential center for community entertainment, and I believe the additional one, I don't want to say the wrong thing, was just to help bring in things to help simulate community culture. So we're working with the Merrimack Regional Planning Commission right now to work on a grant to renovate that old meat processing plant to be what we call the small business incubator. So small business incubator is basically, I don't know if anybody here is familiar with the cottage laws in Missouri. So in Missouri, basically, let's say you make artisanal bread. You make the best artisanal bread. Everyone's like, I love your bread, and you can sell it, but you can't advertise it, and you can only sell it maybe at a farmer's market or maybe to people who maybe know you on Facebook. With the small business incubator, if you're looking to, you want to grow your business and grow in productivity, this helps kind of support small businesses. You come in for like a nominal fee, maybe $20, rent out the kitchen so you can use the ovens and everything in there and use special equipment. And you're also able to, now you've increased productivity, you've increased your business, and you're able to not only sell it at farmers markets, but you can sell it over at the small business incubator, at commercial kitchen. You can sell it at local stores. We have a partnership with the Classic County Health Department to help us put that together and get that up to speed. On the other side of that, that will also provide a nutritional program, outreach program all year round for any families or individuals who need a meal. Who wants to get healthy, nutritious meals. On the reverse side of that, we'd be able to partner up with, right now with Dixon Elementary School. So those are some of the programs for that where we'd be able to bring in small businesses. If they want to expand their businesses, they can do that, or they can operate what is known as a ghost kitchen. Say you don't have enough money for a brick and mortar building, but you still want to run that business and start to build a clientele. You can be able to operate it, say Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can be able to operate it and do that. We also partnered with NU Extension, where we'd be able to provide classes for the community members, and that would also entice other people from outside of Dixon to come to Dixon to take part in those classes, to hopefully want to generate more foot traffic to come into Dixon and enjoy the businesses of Dixon, if that makes sense. So with this project and having a community garden, which we hope to have at the Dixon Park, that community garden will also be a nutrition program. We have Classic County coming in, who would be provide classes and stuff so people can kind of learn like these lost skills because the food prices are becoming more expensive. So people can have healthier choices and options. I'm in school right now, getting ready to complete to be a therapist, finishing up so I can get licensed. I already have partnerships already in like Piney Ridge and with some local senior community centers where I would be able to provide and other people under my employment would be able to provide these therapeutic services through gardening and just learning what we usually consider lost arts, if that makes sense. So what I would need for this to be possible is because we're working with Merrimack Regional Planning Commission for the grant. One in particular is the renovation of the building so we can get that small business incubators. I will need a letter of support from the community, from the city council, saying that we've gone over this, we feel like this would be a good fit, this is something we would like to have in our community, and then if possible, a donation of a couple of hours from the Merrimack Regional Planning Commission, donated to them to work on that grant, to follow that grant. Yeah. That makes sense. And then with that community garden, we're also partnering with Pulaski County Special Services because it's really important that it's a community and we have people of varying abilities, and we really want everyone to be involved in the community because we want everyone to be able to feel welcome and be able to get. So they're coming in to help consult with if there's any type of adaptable equipment that we need so everyone can garden, if it's about accessibility, if we have anyone hearing impaired or has visually impaired or things like that. So those are my splits.
You said the Dixon Park, which park?
The Lions Club was one of the places we were looking at. If not, then if we had to start somewhere smaller, it would just be right over by where the meat processing plant is, be right outside. If that makes sense. But we were looking at the Lions Club part because one, this is something we'll be able to have many different programs and something that can kind of be expansive. And all the food, those vegetables and stuff would be going right back to the community. So I know that there's been community gardens in the past, and I've done some research to see maybe what went well and what didn't go so well there. And I might be a little biased, but I feel like we've done some due diligence and kind of working those things out. But that community garden is essentially it's truly a community garden. If anyone who needs food, they should be able to access the food at that garden and also provide some form of education.
So would it be a situation where, it would just be, would you need to work, work on the garden?
So it would
receive the benefit, or would it just be,
so
who would be responsible for maintaining?
So the way we were looking at it, and again, we were working with Pulaski County MU Extension. So 4-H, we've already spoken to them a couple times, and they're saying, this could be something that's an educational program for them, that they can have, that can be used. So some of the high school students could be working on that. We're partnering with the elementary school, so, being able where the kids can kind of work on, come in, learn different gardening, things like that. And then from a therapeutic perspective, if I have a group from like Piney Ridge, they would be coming in and they'd also be working on that because it has therapeutic benefits, if that makes sense. So it would, it would be great if it became so big where it was like, oh my goodness, we need more people. But until we get to that point, we would basically be outside clubs and stuff, be managing it, if that makes sense. And then if community members, if they want to do a plot, because there's so many different ways. If community members want to come together and they say, okay, we would like to have a plot, then they would be responsible for that plot, for that garden plot, if that makes sense.
And I don't know if when you were originally doing your research, the high school now has an FFA program?
Yes,
They probably did not when you started this.
Yeah, they didn't, but being in contact with MU have FFA and, things like that in there. So those are, because I know that was one of the problems before when they had a community garden. I think they were like, well, who's going to do the work? Like, this is a great idea, but, so I know that was one of the problems. And the way we get around that is being able to, it's for the community, but it's not, the success of that garden is dependent on people necessarily wanting to come in. There's already programs in there, so why reinvent the wheel and just give them opportunity to, extend, I guess, their practice with gardening.
Would there be, like, similar to the Caring Center, I know they
Yes.
do food distribution and stuff, would there be, like, requirements to receive?
No, this is for the community, and it's a community garden, and we mean that we want it to be accessible for everyone. Because, a need is a need. Like, everyone's needs are different. I'm not going to gauge, if you're hungry and you need food and it's healthy and it's in your community, you should have access to it. And I think we're able to do that because the Dixon Caring Center, they're able to help those, be able to filter through those who, really need it, if that makes sense. Those who are eligible for it through other programs and stuff. That community garden would just be something additional added where, okay, if you're eligible for these other programs, you can also utilize a community garden. And if you're in the community and you have a need, you can also do it.
Are there other cities currently doing this?
Yes, I have some other studies. I haven't brought those in because I've been tracking since, especially COVID 2020, with the changes of food prices, with the changes of what is considered food insecurity and stuff. And if you want that, I can provide that. I can send an email. I will say there has been an increase from 2018 to 2021's numbers as far as when members experiencing food insecurity. At first there was a brief break when you had the child tax that advanced. We saw an increase of a decrease, of child poverty and child food insecurity. When that subsidy went away, it went back down and it went below 2018's numbers.
Where do you get these numbers from?
So I go off of, for these examples, the references that I have here, I usually go off of city data. I go on the Department of Economics page for the state of Missouri. Also, Feeding America, the Missouri Community Action Network. I get a lot of my information from them because they have up-to-date information and they do a lot of surveys. And the Missouri
Action Network.
Yes.
So to continue operation of this, is this going to be a grant-funded
So
type of operation?
the way, because it's very important that it's something that doesn't become a burden to the community, and it is a nonprofit. So the grant is what's needed to help renovate and get it started up. But being able to operate off of the fact that, okay, having people come in who want to rent the kitchen, or if they want to take classes and stuff, that money from there is what helps generate, that's going to help with the operations and pouring back into other programs and stuff. That's the main thing with that. Also, by having these other collaborating with other community partners, like partnerships like Pulaski Health Department or Pulaski County Missouri Extension Program, by having that involvement, those collaborations, and Security Bank give classes and things like that, that helps lower the cost, or to make it to where it's no cost. So being able to have it on one side operate as a business, so to speak, being able to take care of the operational, the electric, and things like that, that's what the small business incubator, that's how that would come into play. And then that would allow us to be able to, as a nonprofit with other government agencies, being able to provide nutritional programs and things like that for community members, if that makes sense.
So is this back to the small business incubator?
Yes.
So would this be like if a person is cooking out of their
small business owners, by being able to say, give that validation and that verification and that, I guess, that credibility, that saying, yes, we made this and this was in an inspected, USDA inspected facility, they can put that on their packaging. So then the consumers, they can rest assured that their food is safe. And it can also, it helps professionalize those small businesses that are operating under the cottage laws.
Okay, so are you saying that the food can be cooked there, then taken back to their house and distributed? Because I thought
No.
it had to be distributed.
No, it can be distributed so it can be distributed either through the farm, well, with the cottage laws, with Missouri cottage laws, people right now, if they don't have access to a licensed commercial kitchen, they're making those items in their home and they're selling them. So like they might do word of mouth or do Facebook or do farmers markets. If they're able to, by having a commercial kitchen, they can sell it out of there. We would be able to help with partnerships, link them up with partnerships to be able to get their stuff sold in like local grocery markets or things like that, grocery stores or things like that. So that's the main thing. Because, I mean, cottage laws are great, but sometimes it can get kind of sketchy depending on,
So would
because they're not inspected. Yeah.
So would there be like a store?
Yes. So that's how we want that's how we're planning it. We're still in the process of looking. I need to find like an architect or engineer to help draw up the plans to what we need. But that's one of the things that when we spoke to the health department, that's one of the things we want to include is a retail space where they're able to do that.
For the people who utilize the
Yes.
commercial kitchen thing?
Exactly. And then we're also with the meat processing, there aren't a lot of meat processors, and that's another thing that we're in talks of, getting it where we can get people who are certified to be able to become meat processors or get their facility set up for that.
Mr. Baker, do you have a question for her?
No, I was going to make a comment about the first, about the garden. A couple of years back, the Baptist church on the corner of Pine, Walnut and Fourth had garden plots in there. Maybe you could work with them to use that area as a garden for the community garden.
And that may be a possibility. I know I spoke with them before. I think some of them still had kind of issues from before when they had the garden. But I think some of the things that we worked out, if that's something that they want to do, that's very possible. Because I know they had issues with theft and things like that, and we've kind of come up with some mitigating factors for that, some actions for that, so that way to limit any theft of property or things like that.
A lot of people wanted to benefit, but didn't want to.
Yeah, and I understand that. Usually, like we have these great ideas, and sometimes we don't fully understand like the level of commitment or the stuff that needs to be done. And that's why I know that there's a want. I've done surveys within the community because we're also partnered with Missouri Eats program, which is from the MU Extension program. So we've done surveys stuff, and it's something we've seen that community members want. And they would be interested in accessing it. So I figure if we're able to make it accessible for the community, but also make it possible where, there's some education value, educational value, therapeutic value, and also, ensure that those gardens are being taken care of. So then that way, if somebody's saying they're really busy, but they have a weekend open and they want to do some gardening, they can do that. They're not locked in. It can still go on. That makes sense.
Would the facility be staffed?
Right now, with the small business incubator, my intention is I want it to be staffed, obviously, because starting out, it will be, with some volunteers, like AmeriCorps, like you usually have AmeriCorps, but I would want it to look at with seniors, because they have AmeriCorps with seniors. Our community we have a lot of seniors in our community. I think that's a way where they can be able to get additional money. You know, a lot of them are fixed incomes, fixed budget. They'll be able to get some additional money and things like that, and that's employing more community members more people in our community, because that is definitely a population that still has a lot to give, I think, and is still very vital. So at the beginning, we probably start with something with like with AmeriCorps seniors, and then as it grows, I would like to be able to have staff there. I would like to be able to have staff there that get paid a livable, equitable wage. So if it takes us longer to do with volunteers, I'd rather do that with volunteers than start hiring people and we're not getting them workable wage, if that makes sense.
You said any questions?
I'm trying to, this one page you have in here,
Which one?
the competitive landscape.
Yeah, so the way I had that set up, I'm sorry, no, I can take it all, but no, just explain. So because this is not, essentially it's still a nonprofit. It's not necessarily, so when we think about competitors, it's things that maybe we have to deal with, the community has to deal with. So a neighboring commerce. So we have St. Robert, we have Waynesville, we have all these other places that, you know, they have small businesses and people usually, to be honest, you know, not to say because I know that the Chamber of Commerce here, they've been doing a lot of great work. But again, especially considering this is 2018, and if we're being honest, the city has done a lot of work with, you know, with reputation and stuff and making it grow. But still, honestly, there's still some work to be done. So I consider neighborhood commerce. What makes Dixon more appealing to small businesses is when you look at, Dixon has lower property taxes, and they have more stable rentals. So if you look at some of the small businesses, compare it like in St. Robert or Waynesville, a lot of times their property taxes are higher, and a lot of times they'll start out with, a lot of small businesses will start out with a certain price, and they start making a little bit more money, and that price will increase. So there is a more, it's not as stable for a small business in St. Robert or Waynesville, whereas if they come here to Dixon and they have a small business here, it's easier for them, it's less of an overhead for them to start their business, if that makes sense. Static narrative, that again, that's just going back to all the work that the city's already been doing already to start moving the reputation, changing the meter of what the thought of what Dixon is. Because Dixon is a lot different than when I came here. Okay, you know, so it's a lot different. I mean, just the fact that I was able to come here in 2018, you know, as a community member, that was a big deal. That was a big deal to me. And I know that in my interactions with other people, they're like, "You in Dixon? Like, you okay?" You know. So there's a lot. That's one thing I want to say is Dixon has done a lot as far as from 2018, from when I got here, and I've been in the area a little bit longer because I've been in the military. So, and I know that a lot of things that I heard about Dixon is what kept me from coming into the city of Dixon, if that makes sense. So this is just a continuation of using that opportunity to cultivate positive change within the community. Employment migration. Being able to try to keep our young people staying in the city of Dixon, working in Dixon, instead of going outward and we end up having what's called brain drain. All our resources essentially going out to like Walla or out of state or other places. Being able to have an opportunity where we can kind of build something for the future of Dixon, you know, to be able to say, you know what, I like what's happening every place has culture. And when we first did our surveys at the time, in 2018, a lot of people were saying that there weren't a lot of things for young people to do. I have a background in law enforcement, so like over 20 years in law enforcement. So some of the things that I looked at is the correlation between some of the types of crimes that were happening in Dixon and looking at who were committing those, some of those crimes, and then mitigating, like what are some things that can be done to kind of see less of some of these status crimes like juveniles and things like that. And one of the biggest things is being able to bring in things that, for people to do, for the youth to do, for our seniors to be able to do. A lot of the community of Dixon, when we look at the population, they're either really young, they're really like young, they're kids, they're children, or there are seniors. So, it's just important to be able to, if we're trying to do something that's inclusive for the whole community, it's important that each strategy that we have kind of develops everyone, if that makes sense. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I'm just curious about the first one.
So, I'm sorry. You can tell me that. I'm sorry. Because
You were on a roll.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
But I mean, there's some things, because I think really Dixon, it has a lot of potential. I'm not naive. I'm not naive to say like there aren't some things. I kind of paused a little bit from these projects for a little bit because there's some stuff a while back on Facebook that kind of affected me personally when it comes to racism and stuff like that. I try to be very blunt, so please excuse me, but if this is something that if we're a community and we're working on, these are things that are important, and these are concerns that need to be addressed. But overall, even in my being upset, there were still community members who, in some way or some shape or form, showed me like this is not what Dixon is presently. This is not what they want Dixon to be known for. So I just think there's a lot of potential here. I hope to be able to open up one of my practices here, and be able to pour into the community more. This is regardless if you guys want to use these projects or not. That's just I live here. My family's been in the military. We retired, 2 years ago. Like when we say we set down roots, we're setting down roots.
You have stable rent.
Huh?
You have stable rent.
Exactly, right? We can't beat the property tax or state rent. There's a lot of strengths that Dixon has, and I think sometimes it kind of gets overlooked, especially like if we're kind of in a funky, dark place and we've been there for a long time. It's kind of hard to see the potential and stuff, and sometimes we need more people to come in and be able to say, hey, what you got there, no stable rent and that little property tax, you might be onto something there. So that's the biggest thing.
So to give us time to think about everything, so when would you need a letter from us?
So right now, I want you guys to be able to have more time, and if you need more information from me, if you'd like me to provide more information, I would hope to be able to have something in by the end of this month, if that's the case, to start getting the grant writing done, to get that done, and I would like, if possible, if that's the community garden is something that seems feasible, I would like to be able to get that started this summer in June.
So you're looking for a letter of support and a donation of hours?
Yes.
But you said that there was something similar in the same way earlier. With this whole thing, the small business incubator in particular.
No. So when I was doing research for the small business incubator, Robert was there with me in class. Kind of like we went to different small business incubators, we did different commercial kitchens, Some of them are a little bit further out, you know how rural Missouri is. Some of them are a little bit further back. So that's one additional draw is people would have, if they want to, even if they're doing farmers markets or other things from other places, if they're closer to it, that's a draw there is, you know, why not? Instead of going to Waynesville and going to their like food truck park, why not use the small business incubator, that commercial kitchen here? So that's an additional draw. All the projects that we try to come up with, we also wanted to be able to, we wanted to do multiple things at the same time, if that makes sense. So if we can draw in more foot traffic into the community, that's the intention. That's my intention with the community garden, saying, okay, once I'm licensed and stuff, I've already spoken to other residential communities, facilities, where I would be able to provide therapeutic training and stuff for them, therapeutic counseling in a setting in Dixon. And I think there's worse things to be known for a place that tries to help, you know, with food security and therapy and stuff like that. I think there's worse things to be known for.
What I was asking, where would be the nearest place for something similar?
So there is one in Salem, and it's relatively small. And last I checked, I'm not sure if it's still open.
I was just wondering,
Yeah.
you know.
So one is in Salem. But again, I would be able to, because I was trying to keep it brief, but if you want more information, like on numbers and things like that, I can provide that. I have no problem providing. I love when people ask for references. I don't think people do that enough, so I will always reference my work if you need it. I will give it to you.
Would you, so for, say, the small businesses that choose to utilize the facility, would you then be able to like use your reach to help market?
Yes.
And
So for example, we have partnerships with the small business, the local small business administration. We have partnerships with Security Bank where, you know, they would be able to teach classes like budgeting or things like that, and Pulaski County to be able to do that. So with the Pulaski County, with the MU Pulaski County, they have this thing called Missouri Eats. I don't know if some of you guys saw it when the survey was out, but they have this program to try to link small businesses like food businesses and the local food supply chain. So basically linking the farmer to the restaurateur to the, you know, to the farmer's market, getting to the customer or schools and things like that. So through that partnership, we would be able to set up where they can have their items be sold in some of the local grocery stores here or things like that. So we would be helping with that additional marketing and advertising, if that makes sense.
So is this for local residents only, or can surrounding, like, say living?
No, this would be, so there would be definitely be preference for, I mean, there would be like, you know, I guess the discounted pricing for local businesses, so people who are local to Dixon, because it is a community and we want to be able to, we want the community to benefit the most from it.
Correct.
But when we're doing the studies, the intention where we're looking at the tri-county area at a minimum of being able to come in and use that commercial kitchen. And obviously, it's still a business, so they would still have to come to do their small business licensing and things like that, because they're all just using the facility, but they're still operating on their own businesses, if that makes sense.
they're just like renting.
Yes, renting. So yeah, because I mean, people, sometimes we have big dreams, but it takes a little bit to get there. So being able to have that small business incubator there, that commercial kitchen there, allows them to be able to increase their productivity, to help with their small business, increase their reach, customer reach, without having to have this huge overhead fee going right in when they're trying to, set up a business.
I'll give the council members time maybe by
So I will also be putting this in the paper, but our Missouri S&T students are finishing up their project and will be in town the evening of April 19th to show off all their hard work that they've put in this semester. We're going to have it at the Old Oak Station. Community portion should start about 6:30. Watch the paper, go find time. But we're going to encourage community members to come out, see all the projects that the kids have been working on, ask questions, and see some of the great ideas that some of our community members from the police, the Chamber of Commerce, the VFW, the Lions Club, we have a lot of organizations come together on this, and so they've all got a piece in those projects. So yeah, watch the paper, Tuesday, April 19th. Everybody come out and see what they have done. Along that, we will need to allocate a small amount for the rental of the facility and drinks for the students.
Do you know what we're doing?
I'm hoping
Yeah, just come out of the budget.
We should have a meeting.
we're talking like $250.
So if anything, we need to like approve it on that organization.
Just
I couldn't hear what you.
We should have a line item in there, we can take that out, right, the 250,
We should, yeah, I'll look, I'm sure we do.
yeah, we've had and the other.
Spending money.
Yes, and other organizations that have been involved, the Chamber of Commerce, the Lions Club, the VFW, we're all pitching in to help, because that was one of the requirements of the project, that we provide energy for the students when they present their projects. So we've got all the community organizations coming together to provide them with a nice taco bar.
Awesome. Do you want to do the arterial general date, or do you have any news on that?
I know they were here today. Even though I wasn't here.
I didn't see them, but we were busy on
I think they were because Jacob came by and he just came by to say hi and it was going good. So,
They're still in the testing phase, so you'll see they have the flow meters and all the, or not all, but certain portions of the sewer, so you'll see them go from time to time and take reads from it. So
They got the rate.
potentially up to rate, because that's what we're trying to fix. Police update?
we have a new
I picked this one up. We had a line item for $15,000 for a new vehicle this year. This one has 90,000 miles. It's a 2013 Tahoe. It is fully equipped, everything including the radio, and it was $12,300, $13,800 after the buyer's expense from the auction site. But I have to go down the end of this week or beginning of next week to pick it up. It's a supervisor vehicle from the Osage Reservation. Other than that, nothing.
Oh, so you already purchased this?
Yes.
What do we want, 15,000? Is that what we want?
I think we need to scratch around it.
What's that?
We need to, maintenance needs to be able to now.
Mine does need to be good.
Do you guys need horseback?
at least a couple, you know, where if somebody was off in that spot, you know, we just reach them without having to drive and find them, you know. No Avery had to go looking for us one day over there.
With that being said, we have 2 radio frequencies in Dixon, one of them being the maintenance channel, and I have several of the older icons. We've been talking about bringing over.
Really? That'd be perfect.
That'll fix that issue.
That fixes that. One other, sorry, I see you looking at that.
Hey, you speak my language.
Free. The other thing, on the meter reading, we've got 8 or 10 houses in town that have dogs fenced in the yard. And, no, the ones that are problems, where the meters are fenced in, I know we don't want all, I mean, we have 8 or 10, and the girls call them ahead of time, and a couple of them got a little snag, and act like that they shouldn't have to put their dog in. We gotta read the meter.
I believe if you have an issue like that, that's exactly when Chief Holly needs to get involved, and he should address that situation accordingly. We have access to that at all times, so it's the burden's on them to take care of it.
I was just gonna propose if they think that we need to run it out of our circle, take daily time to go to each one of them, they need to be charged $25. I mean,
I believe, I'm sure if all I say, but they would be able to be ticketed for that, correct?
For non-cooperation?
Which would be more than $25, so.
I mean, I'm just, you know, take.
I would say anytime you have an issue, you probably need to reach out to Chief.
There, you're radio.
Take it, they have both deals.
With your new radio.
With your new radio.
Yeah, ready. Yeah, then if it don't work, it's, you know.
On a serious note, you maybe start before the next meeting, start trying to find some vehicles, and I know we've talked about this for a while now, but I think we're ready to have a new meetings. I'm tired of seeing the current day, so.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yes.
Like a small truck or something. I know you're gonna get.
Well, I tell you what and I've told Mike this, so I'll just put that for all of you. What I would really like to see is like a single wheel, 4-wheel drive truck that we can put a snowplow on with, because we have extra set up. That way if something happens to one, we're not down.
Can we talk about getting on the wait list for the highway patrol?
I believe what we've seen though lately is with the highway patrol's at a premium where, as Chief Holly found, these are other websites, you can find it significantly cheaper. Because a vehicle at the highway patrol would have cost us over 20, we paid 13 for it, so.
But if we had a single wheel, 4-wheel drive, 3/4 ton or something with a gas motor, we don't need a diesel, you know?
We'll find someone.
I mean, whether you buy a car or through working, you're going to get the same mileage right
Exactly, that's what I mean, and then it's something you can use for both, getting that, you know?
I
Instead of
like
having
the
two
benefit
vehicles.
of that, right? I like the benefit of it having, able to have a lot of it. So
Yes.
I would prefer, I would prefer a 3500 dual wheel, yada, 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 yes. I don't care if it's crew cabs.
You think we would need a dual wheel?
Well, I flatbed, something with a flatbed on it, so the salt doesn't tear up that big one.
Yeah.
A regular bed, it'll tear up in a year, you'll have whole stuff
Yeah.
after salt. So that's my way to tear up.
You're right. The only thing about the dual is it don't quite, the snowplow don't quite cover it, you know?
And you can get a single wheel with a flatbed.
Yeah.
I don't have a preference there, I just prefer a flatbed.
A lot of do, I don't get driving on your 4
The red isn't good condition?
I tell you, the little thing runs good. I drive around once a week, taking tests over.
It's on order. When's our side-by-side gonna arrive?
Stallman said September.
We've had that.
And I don't know when it was going to be before I come here.
I thought it was April. It was originally.
Yeah, they bumped it out to September, which, you know, it is now getting stuff.
So if we replace the crown vic with another truck, and then you have the Ranger, which is going to basically get replaced with a side-by-side, what else do we need to do on that?
Personally, if I was gonna, I would probably keep that little Ranger and just get rid of the Crown Vic. That Crown Vic's just kinda, it's all right, jumping around, can't hold up. like curb or setter, they get the same mileage in town,
Yeah.
whether it's a 454 or a 4-cylinder.
I would just, because you guys got trailers, you pull on a full-size truck.
You know, we do have a utility bed trailer now to put all the things and stuff in. Well, we can pull that Ranger, but it's not,
But if they got one for now, then plan on getting another.
I would start looking in the meantime if we need to, if you find something that, we feel is a good deal, we can always call special meetings there, if you don't apply it. So, anything else? Again, spring cleanup, May 2nd through 9th, put on a curb, remains good, go